Elizabeth. And there is Nunavik once again. Oh, what a nice big round of applause for him and for him. So folks, you can see how this simple head-touching game is now a great way to ask the animals to join us in different locations throughout the habitat. So now that you know a little bit more about how we begin our training, what we want to do is we want to take an opportunity to show you some of our slightly more advanced training. Now, our training is a great way for us to provide challenges for the animals, to provide them with the mental and physical stimulation that they need. Another way to challenge them is by getting them to work together. So what you're going to be seeing is two of our trainers working with two of the beluga whales here. Bella, who's 7 years old, up front here, and Miki, who's over on the side. Miki is 5 years old. Now we're trying to get these two young whales to work together to do that. Now that, I believe, was Bella, and there is Miki. So great start. They knew exactly what we were hoping for. They took the hand signal. They knew where to go and to jump out of the water. That's exactly what we were asking. But what we are working on is trying to get them to do that same behavior at the same time. We're trying to coordinate both when we give them their hand signal, if we provide any extra targets for them, trying to see if they can get to the same spot and do the behavior at the same time. Now, they still understand the game, and they seem to be doing very well. And so you hear the trainers blowing the whistle, saying, "Thank you, good job, that's exactly what we were looking for." But as our trainers work on this with both of these young beluga whales, they're going to work to get them closer and closer to jumping out of the water at the same time. Now that takes a lot of coordination between the trainers. When do they give that hand signal? When do they begin? When do they help the animals out? By, for instance, smacking the surface of the water and providing another target for the animals to follow. And you can see as we move forward, the animals get closer and closer to doing that behavior at the same time. Now, all of our training starts with small steps. So we'll start simply with something like playing the targeting game, slapping the surface of the water, letting these whales know where we want them to go. Then we can use a target pole, like this long one you see Gretchen using, to extend our reach, to shape that behavior, to get them into that shape where they're leaping above the surface of the water. Our trainers also have to understand the differences between the animals and different things that they like to do. For instance, you might notice that Bella starts out with jumping just above the surface before she heads down to make another leap above the surface of the water. Correction has to keep that in mind to work out the timing of when she gives her hand signal. So you can see, we've given them the hand signal, we're waiting for them both to take off. And Gretchen helps out by slapping the surface of the water, reminding Bella where to go, and exactly what we were looking for. So you can see how that training builds to get the animals to work together exactly at the same time. So we're stopping there with that particular training. We like to keep our training session short and end with the animals having fun and doing well. So folks, I'm sure you enjoyed watching us work with the beluga whales. It's just about time for us to say goodbye to the whales. But I believe first, we're going to be asking the whales to say goodbye to all of you by showing you some of the neat natural behaviors that they can do. Now, in just a moment, once we have the belugas focused, take a look over on the left-hand side. There you can see Miki showing off some precision spinning, and there's a Nunavik joining in with it. Now that's something that the whales will actually do on their own out in the wild. Beluga whales will spin towards the sand in order to uncover food that might be hiding there. Listen as the whales say goodbye as well. Beluga whales will vocalize by focusing sound out through the top of their head through the blowhole. Now folks, please join me in waving goodbye to the beluga whales. How about a big round of applause for the whales and their trainers. Now, one of the things that we like to do during our presentations is introduce all of you to different animals. We'll be doing that in just a moment, but first we're asking the beluga whales to leave the center habitat. The trainers are going to go to another area and ask the whales to find their shapes, this time in a new location. Once that move is complete, all of you will be meeting one of Shed's rescue dogs named Bruce. Now, I believe our trainers and Bruce are just about set, so how about a nice big round of applause for Megan and Bruce. Now, folks, what you're going to be seeing us work on today is something very simple, continuing to build a positive relationship. Now, when our trainers are working with the dogs behind the scenes, it's much more calm. There aren't all of your smiling faces, or all of these lights, or all the distractions out there in the water. So we want to get Bruce used to seeing all of these distractions, but staying focused. So we need your help. What I want you guys to do is when I count to 3, I want you to start shifting around in your seats. You can dig in your book bag, you can move around a little bit, make some distractions for Bruce. So as soon as Megan gives me the signal, here we go, 1, 2, 3. Start moving around, shifting a little bit. Making some distractions. You can see he looks right away. And then he looks back at Megan and she says, thank you for staying focused. Now, another thing we might ask you to do is do some applauding for him. We want to make sure that if there are any applause during the presentation, that he's used to hearing those things and used to staying focused on Megan. So that's the next thing we'll try. So, folks, how about some applause for Bruce? And you see he's doing a great job of keeping his eyes locked on Megan. The reason why that's important is because we use a lot of visual cues. So we want to set the animals up for success by making sure they can see all of these cues. That ensures that our training is going to be as good as it can be for the animals. Now I'm going to try one more thing. This time, we want you all to cheer really loudly. On my count, once I get the cue from Megan, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Alright, and see, he gets a little distracted, but then he looks back at Megan. How about a round of applause for Megan and for Bruce? So, did you see all the ways Megan was saying thank you? She was pressing the clicker, just like using a whistle. She was feeding him treats. Also, sometimes just saying, good job. Those are all great ways to provide lots of positive reinforcement. Now, before inviting the next animal to join us, we would like to introduce you to one of the newer members of the Shed family.
Back now at 7:48 with a really touching rescue story. An infant sea otter was found stranded in California last month. She was saved and was quickly taken to Chicago's Shed Aquarium, and that's where NBC's Kevin Tibbles picks things up.
Welcome to a nursery unlike any other, where it's time for this baby to have a mom.
It's really coming.
Cayucos is a 10-week-old, 13-pound bouncing baby southern sea otter. The orphan pup was found on a California beach last month.
You know, those first few days when she lost her mom were probably very scary times.
The southern or California sea otter is a threatened species, with fewer than 3,000 animals left in the wild. But luckily for Cayucos, she was rescued and brought to Chicago's Shed Aquarium, one of the top marine mammal facilities in the world. And she seems to be adjusting just fine.
She is a baby. They like to play, they like to explore, they like to get into mischief.
But baby otters, like baby humans, also need round-the-clock care. So the Shed has a dozen surrogate moms to feed her and to begin to teach her how to be an otter. The Shed first started caring for otters in 1989 in the wake of the Exxon Valdez disaster. That's when Keyeye was rescued. She's now the matriarch.
She's 23 now, and she's got a nice retired life right now.
But before Cayucos can hang with the grown-ups, she's got a lot to learn.
Want some more? Good.
like eating solid food while floating on her back.
I've heard that.
But watch out, those teeth are sharp. Okay. She also has to learn how to groom, and Otter's thick coat has to be maintained for their very survival. And like most kids, when she doesn't get her way, she lets you know. Ayukos is the 9th pup raised here, and while she'll never be returned to the wild, she will teach scientists more about her species. And soon be delighting visitors, because like most babies, she's irresistibly cute. Kevin Tibbles, ABC, Chicago.
So folks, as I mentioned during our presentations, we like to introduce you to different animals, and in just a moment, you will be meeting one of the California sea lions named Tyler. Now, Tyler's going to be joining us right out here on the walkway. His training is a little bit different than Bruce's. Tyler's been out here before. We want to make sure we're not making too many distractions. So don't do all the things you were doing for Bruce. Remember to make sure everyone stays seated. Also, double check and make sure that your flash is turned off. And make sure no one is reaching out for Tyler. We want to set him up for success as well. Looks like he's all set. So folks, I'm going to take a step back and let you watch some more training in action. To let Tyler know that he was doing a great job, whether Madeline was asking him to roar or salute or simply follow her along on the walkway, she was able to say thank you by blowing a whistle and feeding him some fish, and sometimes literally by saying great job. Just like with Bruce, those are all great ways to provide lots of positive reinforcement. And now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, for the moment you've all been waiting for. By a round of applause, how many of you out there today are interested in seeing the Pacific white-sided dolphins? You can see the trainers entering the habitat once again, along with the dolphins. You can see the trainers have all of their training tools, the buckets of fish, the whistles, and also those colored shapes. We've taught the dolphins to recognize their own shapes as well, which allows us to provide variety for the animals and the trainers. Now, earlier on, we saw one way of training using the whistle and the targeting game. But there are other ways that we can work with the animals. Believe it or not, we can train the animals by doing something very similar to what all of you are doing right now, simply watching them. On their own, the dolphins can do some pretty amazing things. Take a look on the left. Looks like she decided to do a different game. Take a look back. That's a great way to see what's happening above the surface of the water. Take a look again here in the center. Now folks, many of the things you see the animals do like this here on the right are natural behaviors, and that was our one-year-old dolphin, Sagu. These natural behaviors are things that the animals will do all on their own, out in the wild and right here at the aquarium. When we see the animals do these amazing natural behaviors, we blow the whistle. Does everyone remember what that whistle means?
Thank you.
That's right, it means thank you or good job. Now, because we've built that solid, trusting relationship with the animals, when we tell them that we like something they're doing by blowing that whistle, there's a good chance that they'll do that behavior again. Once they start repeating that behavior, then we can teach them a hand signal so we can ask them to do that behavior on cue. What we want to do now is we want to show you how we connect the hand signal and the whistle. We're going to focus our attention towards the island in the back where Christy is working with the cat. Now, in just a moment, Christy is going to ask the cat to swim towards the center of the habitat and leap up into the air. Now, folks, this is all about timing. So I want you to watch very closely for Christy's hand signal and listen for the whistle. There is the signal. Now watch and listen towards the center. Alright, great job by the cat. Now, did you all notice when Christy blew that whistle? She blew the whistle at the highest point in the cat's jump. That was telling her that at that moment, that height was the most important thing we were looking for. But what if we blew the whistle at a different time? For instance, what if we blew the whistle when that dolphin made a big splash? That would tell her that splashing was the most important thing, and that is exactly how we're going to soak this entire section with very cold water. No, I'm just kidding, we're not going to do that. But we are going to try this again. This time we're going to blow the whistle at a different point. See if we can all figure out how this changes things. Now remember, it's all about timing. So don't forget to watch for the hand signal and listen for the whistle. There is that signal. Once again, watch and listen towards the center. There's one jump, no whistle. Let's see what happens. She jumps again, still no whistle, so she jumps a third time, there's a whistle, and she races back over to Chrissy, where Chrissy can now say thank you by feeding her some fish and playing some fun games. How about a nice round of applause for the cat and Chrissy. So folks, you can see how the whistle, the thank you or the good job, is also a way to let the animals know when the game we are playing is over. So we've spent a lot of time focusing on how we work with the animals. Well, now we want to talk about why our training is so important. Take a look over on the left-hand side there. You can see that Gretchen is cradling that dolphin's tail, and one of our interns is helping out by pretending to take blood. This is a blood taking position, but even though we're not taking blood right now, we'll turn this into a game every single day by doing the same behavior. During this time, we can tickle their tail or massage their tail. And you can see that we can have someone help out by using some of the tools that we would use if we were actually taking blood and pretending to be a veterinarian. That way, when it is time to take blood for the health of the animals, then it's much easier for the trainers, for the doctors, and most importantly, for the animal. Take a look over on the right-hand side. You can see Elizabeth taking a look inside Sagu's mouth. Now, this is a great way to do a very simple dental exam. But the game is in how we get him to open his mouth. We can tickle his tongue, or massage his gums, even spray him with water. Those are all sensations that the dolphins and whales really seem to enjoy. But while Sagu just thought that was another great fun activity, for Elizabeth, that was a great way to take a look at the health of his teeth, tongue, and gums. Now, animal care is our top priority here at Shed Aquarium, and by turning these medical procedures into fun games, we can ensure that the animals stay happy and healthy at the same time. Now, folks, throughout today's presentation, you heard quite a bit not only about how we work with the animals, but also now why this training is so important. Well, what we want to do now is we want to show you how all of this training comes together to highlight the incredible natural behaviors the animals can do. There's not much left for me to say, so I'm going to take a step back and turn things over to the trainers and the Pacific White-Sided Dolphins. gentlemen, once again, the Pacific White-Sided Dolphins. Take a look in the center for a goodbye with a big splash. And a lot of special thanks to all the trainers out there today as well. Thanks a lot, guys. Thank you for joining us for our aquatic show. We hope that you enjoyed learning more about how and why we work with the animals every day here at Shed. Also, in just a few moments, one of our Shed trainers, Megan, will be returning to the walkway. So stop by, introduce yourself, and feel free to ask any questions you may have about Shed or animal care and training. Now that the show is over, you have two options to exit. To get back to the main